My oldest son, Broderick, is also joining me to share some of the lessons he's learned throughout the years.
As far as
Yet my most established child, Broderick, is likewise going along with me to share a portion of the examples he's advanced all through the years, to the extent that when Steve and I got together, he had a completely separate thought of what he was anticipating doing after his "You're truly here." So I can respect you. Apparently, the Harvey family is encountering its own exceptional family struggle. You happened. Accurately, individuals who are connected with Steve Harvey are coming up and making allegations, arranging that Marjorie might be pursuing his colossal riches, and in any event, suggesting that she is turning him against his own youngsters. Goodness, this family never fails to shock me here. We were feeling that the reports about Marjorie and Steve's supposed undertakings were the most shameful data we could at any point find out about the Harveys. Yet presently, apparently, Marjorie's secret objectives, which spin altogether around cash, are on the table. Is this significant data the piece of the riddle that will at last make sense of why Marjorie and Steve's children don't get along? Steve uncovered this stunning data one night in Memphis, when Marjorie and I were starting dating, reviewing an extraordinary occasion. Each of the 7 of our kids were available when we did, and the young ladies all went bowling prior to getting back, to say they didn't believe that we should get hitched, and that they didn't think it was the proper thing to do. And assuming that you accept that is all reevaluate, there have been bits of gossip that Steve's 4 natural youngsters are battling Marjorie, in light of the fact that they accept she is squandering his well-deserved cash. However, hang on, as per sources, this is certainly not a new improvement. Omno, his youngsters have been seriously reprimanding Marjorie, starting from the start, or possibly starting around 2005, when she initially started enlightening Steve's life. Regardless of their frankness and open strain, saturated the air when they were separated from everyone else. I met her 86-87. When the two came out, then God gave her back to me in 2005. As per insiders, while the children didn't have an honest conversation with their dads, Steve was totally captivated and couldn't be persuaded to abandon Marjorie during the 1990s. These two individuals at first met and fell head over heels. Steve, who has forever been a miserable heartfelt, was frantically enamored with Marjorie anyway, was not detecting any flashes at the time. As per others, the explanation would have been that Steve's financial balance wasn't generally so significant as his heart. Oof. Secure your safety belts, since we will proceed with our wild ride through Marjorie's life, preceding gathering Mr. Harvey because of her inclination for accomplices who wouldn't hesitate to burn through large chunk of change. Marjorie was at that point partaking in the best things in life, while our dear Steve was striving to secure himself in the parody world and look for the paper her most memorable spouse, Jim Townsend, strike a chord. He is, to be sure, Morgan and Jason's dad. Yet this is when things get precarious. The gossip on the road is that Marjorie wasn't entirely blameless, and that Jim was engaged with a criminal hidden world to the degree that he was gotten while endeavoring to take 40 kilograms of the white stuff. Anyway, old-fashioned Jim made a move, entered a blameworthy request, and got a one-way pass to prison. Since child Jason was coming, yet on the off chance that Jim had accepted that Marjorie would be his critical kid, was he off base? Marge bidded because of marriage when he was detained, and left through the entryway. Regardless of whether this is all extremely scrumptious, Steve's youngsters warmed up when his ledger added a couple of additional zeros. The good to beat all is here throughout the long term. Think about who Marjorie was conversing with when she wasn't dialing Steve. Guardian for Steve, I'm serious. Even Steve let the truth out to individuals. Magazine, the possibly time I've at any point seen you blissful. Marjorie was the point at which you were with that lady. He told me I will summon her right before you act like a fool like Mary. Another after Steve's separation from second wife Mary in 2005. It was the protector who went about as Cupid. To get our sweethearts back together, the secret extends individuals. We should keep the tea coming. Marjorie and Steve's compromise denoted a total resurrection. For Steve, I committed such countless errors in my day-to-day existence. He once spouted she was the main contrast creator. There are numerous things you can achieve while you're content at home. Besides, how about we simply say that Steve was eager to put his heart before his wallet? Marjorie, on account of her principal man, Steve, she was enjoying a truly incredible lifestyle on Family Quarrel. He once said that Marjorie was the person who had placed the greatest gouge in his wallet now. His blood kids, not fans yet. Over thunderings of one more storm arose. Here's the lowdown. Steve, Marjorie's triplets' receptive dad, not just gave them the Harvey last name and embraced them, yet rumors from far and wide suggest that they even submitted to his will. Respectable, yes, yet there's an issue. His own youngsters got a diminished part of the pie. Because of this liberality, they weren't excited, to understate the obvious, further giving everything away. Steve uncovered that his young ladies had forever been on Marjorie. You don't have a relationship, a strong work, or a profession. Steve applauded back. I cover the expense of school. For what reason would it be a good idea for me? I focus on your decisions. You all haven't had an effective connection with a sweetheart at this point. Thus, I have no clue about how you plan to train me and how to reside, yet clutch your caps, for things become more convoluted. There have been reports that Marjorie might have had inclinations, and Steve's natural kids accepted. They were at the lower part of her need list. Despite the fact that Steve paid kid support and other related costs, it was fairly insane of him to make an effort not to be there in his child's life for the initial 16 years of his reality. And as though that weren't terrible enough, Winton, one more of Steve's posterity, clearly had it much more terrible after the separation among Steve and Mary. As per Mary's charges, Steve might not have been Winton's best dad. Steve purportedly participated in some unsavory conduct as the succulent dramatization proceeded with Steve's mom dropped a stunner that had everybody talking. She uncovered that Steve wasn't exactly the committed dad he made up to be. He is blamed for utilizing exorbitant power while restraining his child, sporadically leaving the young person wounded. She even ventured to such an extreme as to guarantee that the kid lacked the ability to pee for quite a long time, attributable to the power of the circumstance on one frightening event anyway. Steve gave his most noteworthy stepfather execution when it came to Marjorie's kids, especially with Lori. On one of their essential dates, she reviewed you recently, began visiting to me about folks, and you just let me know that you generally upheld me, and you'd continuously show up for me regardless of what you really focused on me to your audience members. Apparently, Steve's own little girls never had the chance to observe this. Gracious. And you can ensure there was a ton of side looking at happening. As a matter of fact, an insider let us know how much strain this welcomed on. They concurred that Steve settled on the right choice when he embraced Marjorie's youngsters and raised them as his own. Sadly, there has been some hatred among the kin toward Lori, who is the most notable of Steve's youngsters and gets everyone's attention with her high-profile love life. Keep your caps on, however, in light of the fact that it doesn't stop there. The news that Marjorie could have been playing away from home surfaced a couple of days prior. Similarly, as we were accepting that the Harvey family could never turn out to be any more tumultuous, you realize rumors from far and wide suggest that she might have turned into excessively close with both Steve's guardian and their own culinary specialist. And to finish everything off, there are murmurs that she means to leave Steve and take half of his wealth with her. That is a plot turn we didn't expect. Don't yield to anybody, she said. Steve burned through no time in stopping those talking tones by diving squarely into the dramatization. To stop those shameful stories, he arose, shooting his weapons. Let me get going by saying that I'm okay. I'm great. The alleged wandering look of Marjorie. He took my Winton, took energy from me. He turned my child against me. Parents, that is not all. Sovereign Marjorie herself went on the gram to explain what is going on. She composed my better half And I don't typically stop to address all the babble and lies that have been spread about us in a way that would sound natural to her yet. For the people who get a whole lot is normal consequently. I'm mindful that I have a commitment to individuals who may not be however strong as we may be a result of my all. In all it appears to be that those murmurs of treachery, or just that anyway bits of gossip, have it that this doesn't mean Steve's children trust hardships, have been settled one of Steve's youngsters, is of the compelling assessment that Marjorie is remembering the big picture as per a little birdie. We address they accept she is just gnawing her time and looking for the best and open door to snare Steve and take his heaps of money. The insider even uncovered that the youthful Harveys accept Marjorie will drop the do-bomb when it comes time, since for her everything revolves around the cash, yet stand by Steve, quit the prenuptial understanding. Subsequently, Marjorie is ready to offer to set things right, assuming that she at any point gets the inclination to part as the